Good afternoon. Today, we are going to be talking about why boons are actually good for Dead by Daylight. Boons are good for DVD! Somehow. Think about it like this. Boon totems are actually a secondary objective. They actually give survivors something else other to do other than generators. So that's a good thing, right? But in our case, we have a very poor implementation of boon totems. So that's what makes boon totems kind of bad. Let's look at Boon Circle of Healing. Boon Circle of Healing gives you 100% faster healing speed. It gives you self-care. It basically gives you a medkit every single time you get into the radius. The radius is kind of big, and it can cover a great deal of the map. When we're talking about Boon Circle of Healing, a lot of pressure is lost when people heal themselves. Sometimes you have to injure all 4 survivors and try to make something work to get pressure. But the thing is with Boon Circle of Healing is it kind of negates that pressure. You lose pressure very much faster. Dead by Daylight used to be an hourglass where the sand would pour very slowly and be a very nice slow progression to where you lost. But with Boon Circle of Healing, that sand flows faster because people heal faster. People are able to negate your pressure faster. This 100% extra healing speed boost is actually kind of detrimental to what Boon Circle of Healing was originally created for, which was to actually allow survivors to have the ability to heal themselves without running a perk like self-care, etc. Someone brought this to my attention in my chat. It seems like BHVR is trying to increase the amount of time it takes to kill a survivor, increasing the time to kill. And you're basically pushing people who are good at the game to actually survive a whole lot more. By increasing time to kill, you're actually pushing the game to be more survivor-sided. Now, if we're trying to push the game to a more like 50-50 ratio, that's alright. But in all honesty, I feel like the sand in the hourglass flows too fast. People are healing a little bit too fast with Boon Circle of Healing. I watched McLean's review of Scott Junn's 7.0.0 patch notes, and he actually said that it might be a good idea to actually remove the healing speed bonus on Boon Circle of Healing. In its core, Boon Circle of Healing is actually kind of genius, because it actually gets people to spend their time in the game working to make a boon totem and then healing themselves. At its current rate, Boon Circle of Healing is way too fast. But Coconut, what about Boon Shadowstep? Well, Boon Shadowstep allows it so that killers cannot see the survivor's scratch marks and auras within the radius. This basically disincentivizes killers from using aura perks. It actually counters aura reading perks and pushes killers to run more slowdown perks like Ruin, Undying, or I guess endgame perks, basically pushing the game towards a focus of longer time to kill. I'm not sure what the BHVR vision is by making it so it takes longer to actually kill survivors, but maybe BHVR thinks it's healthier for the game when killers are using perks to actually try to juggle the group of 4 survivors throughout a longer time period. Basically slowing down the generators, planning for endgame. Maybe BHVR thinks this is more fun. And maybe a lot of the community is struggling in the game because they're trying to kill people faster and faster and faster and faster. When in reality, BHVR is kind of pushing that dynamic and trying to make it so that it takes longer and longer and longer to kill people. This could be because of stats or fun, and I feel like a lot of people don't really see this vision. My only issue with Boon Shadowstep is it actually disincentivizes people from using auras. It makes it very difficult to track people when you can't see their aura, and you actually lose them very easily. When it becomes more difficult to catch survivors through normal means in a chase, this is going to cause more killers to camp and tunnel more. And I ask, is that actually a good thing? In the current state of Dead by Daylight, where gens go by in 4 to 5 minutes, losing one person can be the difference between a 0k and a 4k. The effects of boon totems like these are exponentially increased at higher MMR. The more skilled that players are, the more that these effects are exponentially impacting the game. I made a mistake in my previous video by saying that generators are going faster for only high skill-based matchmaking gamers. I would like to emphasize the problems with these 2 comments. On the forums, a couple of people started new accounts in Epic, and they found themselves facing 2,000-hour sweat squads on their first ever game. Their accounts weren't even linked to Steam either. I'm a new player, and skill-based matchmaking does not help me at all. Double-digit hours, and I regularly get matched with iridescent multi-thousand-hour players. I don't know what skill-based matchmaking is for. In the comment section, I was getting posts that people were getting 4 to 5 minute gens at high MMR, 4 to 5 minute gens at mid MMR, 4 to 5 gens for people that only have double-digit hours in the game. There are people struggling at all MMRs, it seems like. BHVR probably has made a poll through SurveyMonkey about the MMR system, but I feel like they should probably do another one to see how people are feeling. Now, if we're talking about Boon Exponential, it actually allows survivors to be able to pick themselves up when they're in the Boon Totem's radius. This further pushes BHVR towards the longer time to kill. Survivors are able to pick themselves up when they're in the Boon radius. Now, if you're looking at the perspective where BHVR is trying to make it take longer and longer and longer to kill each survivor, this is great. People are able to pick themselves up. It takes longer for killers to kill the survivors. Everything's all good and dandy. But the only oversight with this is that by disincentivizing people from slugging and allowing survivors to pick themselves up at a 100% faster recovery rate, you basically incentivize camping and tunneling more. In the world of killer strategies of tunneling, camping, and slugging, I tend to find that tunneling and camping is way worse than actually slugging. Now, there are two ways to solve this problem. You can make it so that Boon Exponential actually impacts tunneling and camping more than slugging, or BHVR can release a new set of perks that actually disincentivizing tunneling and camping, basically nerfing every single killer playstyle so everything is treated equally. In my honest opinion, I feel like BHVR is going to do the latter. If you think about this from the pattern we've been seeing from behavior, they're trying to increase the time to kill. By disincentivizing tunneling, camping, and slugging, it's going to take way longer to kill the survivors. I'd hope that with this, BHVR would also be giving killers tools to be actually able to kill survivors more easily, or give killers more help to actually kill the survivors with a higher time to kill. They've done this with the perk No Way Out, and as more and more of these longer time to kill perks are added to the game, killer is going to get very, very difficult to play. Because generally camping, tunneling, and slugging are actually not really fun playstyles to play around when a killer is doing it all game. My only worry of behavior is if they're going to give enough tools for the killers to use so that the stress of these changes aren't as impactful as they have been. All these boons are focused on pushing the game towards a more longer playstyle, but please behavior, don't forget to give killers some tools to actually be able to enable them to actually have a chance in the game. Because the more perks that you implement that kind of negate these tools that the killers had in the past, the more it's amplified for players at higher MMR. And so I'm told at mid MMR, normal MMR, and for some low MMR. I could see this type of implementation working for Dead by Daylight because I actually am an endgame player. I run Blood Run on all my killers. It takes a long time for me to kill survivors. I've been prepared for this type of playstyle for a long, long time. But for someone that's been using the endgame playstyle for over a year, I can tell you it takes a very long time to get used to it, and it's very, very stressful trying to master it. So that's why I'm hoping BHVR actually kind of gives killers some more tools to actually help play in the endgame, and also tweak the over-tuned Boon totems, because we don't want killer to become too hard to play. Overall, when it comes to my personal opinion on Boon totems, I really like that the developers are trying to add a secondary objective, but I really dislike about the lack of compensation BHVR has given to killer players when it comes to countering these Boon totem perks. Some of these Boon totem perk effects are way too strong, and I urge BHVR to please at least fine-tune them, because in its current state, these Boon totems are actually hurting the game without being adjusted.